kind to take over the waiting room, that would be amazing. Cool. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to, what is it? The 27th version of OKR LeanCoffee. Happy to see you. Any first timers here? Oh, nice. Welcome. Okay, so just for you to get to know the format. So I'm Sandy, and together with my buddies, Felix, who is here, and Chancel, who is on well-deserved vacation. We do this every month to connect with other fellow OKR practitioners and bounce ideas around, bounce challenges around. So we won't explain what OKRs is or whatever. So we assume that you have had at least a few touch points with the framework and to keep the discussions on a practical practitioners level. We use LeanCoffee for that. LeanCoffee is a cool format, if you don't know it, to structure discussions and make use of the time that we have most effectively. I will send you the board that we're using. You don't have to register or anything. And we will get started right away. Give me a second. I see there are a few more people. All right. I will post the link in the chat. Phew. Did I copy it? Let's see.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Why can I not? Yes. Come on, Zoom.
Chat is working.
Chat is working, but I cannot paste the link for whatever reason. That is so
Try
weird.
to send it to me by Signal and I post it in here. That works.
That is super weird. Sorry for that.
Definitely not something that I would expect and have to specifically prepare for. So.
Yeah, it's true. What do? We just use I'll just create a Miro board real quick. Okay.
So in the meantime, I would say everybody can say roughly maybe how much experience they have with OKRs. They've been working with it a lot, a little. Whoever wants to start can start and then hand over to the next person.
I can start. So I'm working with OKRs by myself since 2018, and I'm an OKR coach since 2020.
Cool.
So Natalia, want to go next?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm also external OKR coach. Yeah, and practice OKR implementation since 2016, and I'm really obsessed with OKR, and I'm eager to know how everyone uses OKR. Okay, next, Tobias.
Thank you, Natalia. I'm proud to be a guest today in your round. I'm joining this today first time because of my colleague Janine Wirtz. I'm working at FinCon Reply, and I'm new in the OKR system. So I'm proud to be guest today. Thank you. I will give it to Luca.
Hi guys, I'm at the end of my second year with OKRs, and it's a nice journey. Not so easy, not always so easy, but that's okay. That's fine. Dominic, it's up to you.
Thank you. I'm working with OKRs now for a month only, but I've got a quite experienced colleague with me, which is Felix, and so he invited me also to join you and to learn more about OKRs. So I'm really excited about what we are discussing here. Janine, what's about you?
Yeah, I'm working with OKRs since 2.5 years, but currently actually not. That's a pity. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to this round and to all the questions and topics that are coming up. So I hand over to Sandy, if you can answer it.
Yeah. So I just sent the link in the chat. I think now the access should be valid for you guys. Yeah, cool.
Bless you, Jenny.
Thank you for your patience. I hope we found a good workaround. Super weird that I couldn't paste the other link. I need to check that out. Yeah, come on our Miro board. I will bring you to me. Sorry, there's a little bit of, I think most of it is in English. So again, what we're going to do right now is we start with collecting your topics. So I will give you 3 minutes, or let's say 2 minutes, because we're pretty far already in our hour together. So think about the most pressing thing that you want to talk about. It doesn't have to be like written out in super detail. Just a headline is enough, because we will pitch them to each other after, so we can vote the order of it. You see in this collect topics frame, there are a few post-its. If they're not enough, please feel free to copy paste them. Go there, think about what you want to talk about. I will set the timer for 2 minutes. If it's not enough, we will add another minute. And let's go.
So please also write your name on the card so we know who to call.
Oh yeah, that would be helpful. All right. 2 minutes are over. If you have one last thought, now is your time to complete it. All right. So we move forward with the LeanCoffee process, which is that everyone gets to add some context to their cards, and in a very concise and short way. So we don't need to know everything about the whole thing, just add a little context to what's on the card. So around 30 minutes per person. So we have enough time to actually discuss your topics. And let's start on the top left corner with Janine.
Okay, just in short, I just want to know from you guys, what is the best possible way to implement OKRs? Because I know that there are a lot of challenges, but also some chances, and I want to discuss with you. So what would be the best way to implement OKRs? Are there any barriers we can identify, or are there any steps we can go that are best for the organization?
All right, thank you. I think you can continue. The next one is yours as well, right? Organization OKR fit.
Yes, this goes in another direction because I want to know from you guys, what do you think about the best organization OKR fit? So is there any fit, or is OKRs for every organization, or are there organizations who should not implement OKRs? And maybe also what are characteristics of organization that we can decide that OKRs are good for the organization or for the team?
Thank you. All right, whose is the third on the left? Taking bold decisions as a team. What's that about?
Who does it come from?
Taking bold decisions as a team and letting go of results, metrics that aren't working.
Oh yeah, Patricia, but she said she can't use a microphone because it's too noisy around her.
Oh, okay. Then we let that stand as it is. Felix.
Yeah, so it would be actually connecting to what Janine already said. So organization, OKR fit. So I'm wondering, are there actually times or situations where you would not recommend OKRs ever? That you said, okay, it's not just when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
That's true. Interesting.
Yes. Then briefly, next question, do you also use OKR in your private life? And yeah, actually, Patricia introduced herself as using OKRs in Lego. So I'm wondering how that works. I'm just wondering, since she doesn't have a microphone, if we do talk about that, if there would also be somebody else who could talk about that. But yeah, those are my topics.
That's cool. Thank you. Natalia, you have to.
Next topic is mine. Yeah, the first topic is maybe too short. It's just jump in my mind after yesterday's session when a team wants to take into OKR really some run activity like how we can organize our work, choose the best task manager, and since then work more in a more systemical way. For me, it's not about OKR, but yeah, they really want to take it. And okay, I'm interested in your experience as OKR coaches. How do you deal with this? If you agree with the team, or you try to convert them on a more challenging or more ambitious way? Yeah, it's my first question. And I can share what I did, but I'm not sure that I was right.
We'll
And
see. I think you have a second question, right? How to motivate internal coaches?
Yeah, internal OKR coaches to, yes, who play other roles. So not an agile coach, not a paid OKR coach, but
Right.
some manager who takes this role, yeah, how we can motivate.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, that's some cool topics. So let's vote on the order. Everyone of you is given 3 votes. You can vote on your own topic. You can vote, you can cast your vote on 3 different sticky notes. I will just set it up for you like this. All right, 3 votes, 2 minutes. Choose wisely. Let's go. Patrizia, by the way, we met in Italy, right? Sweet. Cool to see you here. Okay. It looks like everyone has voted, so I will just stop this here. If you want to switch your vote, now is the time. 3, 2, 1. All right. Ba-da-ba-ba. So, okay, cool. So the first one is OKR organization, OKR fit. So how this works is I will pull this into the in discussion column. We have now 8 minutes for every topic. And after 8 minutes, we will make a thumb vote. So if you still want to talk about the topic, you will thumbs up, you get an extra 4 minutes. If you say like, no, like I think this is done, let's move on to the next, thumbs down, and then we move on to the next.
Sandy, and
All
I
right.
suppose that the Felix's question is very, very similar with the first question. Maybe we can combine them together or not? What do you think, Felix? Your
We will
question
decide.
about not.
Let's discuss about this, and then we will decide if Felix has still something to talk about, and if not, then we can skip that. All right, I will set up the timer for 8 minutes on the Miro board. And Janine, it's your topic. Let's go.
Okay, so maybe you have any ideas, because we are in the financial market, and there are a lot of companies, when you talk with them about OKRs, and they actually need, from my side, they need OKRs because they are so unstructured in their decision-making processes about strategies and also objectives. But I need some good arguments why maybe they need OKRs, or maybe I'm wrong and there's no OKR fit. So if you have any ideas about this topic, it would be really great for us.
I think Felix already raised his hand. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say that is something that is definitely not only limited to the financial industry, but a lot of companies, they're like, okay, we are only in a reactive, not really in a proactive mode. So that's why we usually also say, okay, do you have an idea as a management, as leadership, what success for you looks like? Is a strategy to say what your priorities are in general as a company. And because those are things that you derive your OKR from. And if I say, that's why I usually also run a session with those people first to say, okay, do you actually have an idea where you're going before you let your teams work with this stuff? Because those things you break down from a vision or something. If you don't have anything like that at all, then I would start doing that first. Just as a first input.
Natalia has to say something about that too.
Yeah, and as external care coach, I very often met this question, and I really will create the checklist. I just put it on a mirror board. You can see it below the questions, and we just check from this nine points, 9 questions, if your company or your team are really ready for OKR. And maybe, because from my point, OKR is for mature team. If team is immature, it's very hard to implement OKR. Of course, they can grow, they can raise their mature, but there could be some environment around them to give them this opportunity. So you can just check. So if maybe you don't need an OKR, because if you are on a stable business environment, you don't need OKR. You can use KPIs and all of this old system. If you don't have a strategy and ambitious goals, you also don't need OKR. If the leader is not involved in OKR, also it's very hard to implement OKR. If you don't need a change also, but if you need some changes, if you're ready to make your goals transparent, if the team can take a responsibility to reaching their goals. So in this case, we can see this organization OKR fit.
Okay, thank you. Janine, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, maybe another question I would ask in this direction is, what do you think about the structure of a company? So, for example, in the financial business, there are currently there are a lot of organizations that are still very hierarchical. And do you think that OKRs doesn't fit to organizations which have a very strong hierarchy? Because for me, it's like that it fits, because OKR can also have a hierarchy. So it doesn't need to be a networking company or or have a structure of just teams or an agile structure like SAFe. For me, it's also a fit if you have hierarchies. So if you have departments and teams and employees. So for me, it fits, but I would know if you think the same.
Felix?
So actually to those 2 points. So first of all, Natalia still mentioned that she says in her opinion, it's more something for experienced teams. I wonder sometimes the people or if teams are not that experienced and not that much on the have that much flow in whatever they're working on. It must also be an idea to give them motivation to say like, okay, finally I know what we're working for, and thereby become more professional by OKRs pulling us in that direction. But that also obviously depends on the leadership being able to willing to give a little bit of space, which then goes into Janine's question. So from my experience, it is also a step to start in establishing trust. And then it is, okay, the management goes into the OKRs, but not any lower, because then the teams are working on that kind of stuff. But obviously the management, first of all, has to learn to not micromanage, and then it is something which can grow over time. But at the same time, also the team can see, oh, we also have some agency, we have some possibility to work on things ourselves. You were talking about hierarchies, so I think in the beginning you might start with something like that. But usually, if you have a lot of levels of hierarchies, that's a lot of overhead for the OKR framework. So that ideally later on you would have less hierarchies, and maybe just 2 levels or something. What does the company want? How can the team play into that? And then maybe start smaller with fewer teams instead of the whole organization at the same time. And then that might work. But yeah, not wanting to take up too much time. So Natalia.
Yeah, just short. Yeah, I meant not experienced team, Felix, but psychological maturity. Yeah, it's when you don't need micromanagement. Yeah, I mean this. And about hierarchy, yeah, I agree that many levels is too much. Usually we use no more than 3 levels. 2 levels is a perfect thing. When we, for example, skip department level and just jump from company level to teams level, it works. And with hierarchy, it's okay. With command and control culture is not okay. It doesn't work. So even in high hierarchical structure, you need some coaching way of communication when teams set up their goals by themselves.
Maybe just really short, what do you think about the size of a company? So does OKRs also depends on the size of a company? If you have a really big company, does OKR doesn't fit anymore to the company? Or if you have a small company, is it better for a company to have OKRs?
Just real quick, we're ending the 8-minute time frame.
So I would say any size fits. Just make sure you don't start too big in the beginning, but I've seen startups of 6 people, and also Google is using it. So.
About implementing OKRs, we have another card. So looking at all of your faces and directions, if you want to talk about this organization OKR fit for 4 more minutes, thumbs up. If you think, okay, let's move on to the next, thumbs down. 3, 2, 1. Down, down. Okay. Cool. Let's move on to the next, which is kind of connected. OKR implementation, how to implement OKRs in the best way possible. What are barriers, chances? Janine, this is also your card. Do you want to give any more context to this?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit more context. So we are currently thinking about how to best implement OKRs in an organization. And also this depends on the size of the organization and everything. But I would like to know if you identified any challenges, any barriers while implementing OKRs, and what are your thoughts about it?
I can start. So I think Felix and Natalia have said a lot about that for the previous card, but I just want to touch on the point that no matter the size, and especially like the larger the organization gets, the more organization leads tend to like a big bang introduction, right? Like from tomorrow, everyone has to work with OKRs. And from my experience, and as I like look into the faces of my colleagues here, this is not a very good experience that I saw organizations have. So instead of going for the big bang and everyone has to work with OKRs from tomorrow, look for a pilot team, look for a pilot department with people who are motivated to try this out, people who are motivated to learn and shape this, and start with them for 1, 2 OKR cycles, and then see what the learnings are, what resonates with the rest of the organization, and then see what other teams or departments to onboard, how to change the OKR structure or architecture along the way. That's my first 2 cents about this.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so from my experience, what is a really big challenge is if you implement OKRs in a team, because if there's no support from the management side, so it should be at least be supported by the management. And in the best case scenario for me, it would be that OKR starts at a management position, because I had some experience that if you implement it in a team and the management is not on board, that you have challenges later on, because actually, if you want to implement OKRs, you need the whole organization, and the whole organization means that you have also the strategy and the vision and the mission and all that from the management. So you need support of the management to really get into OKRs with your organization. So that was one of my experience with a company, because they just implemented in the team. And yeah, we have so much struggles with the management because it was so lost.
Yeah, super important point. If management is not on board, it's set up to crash eventually. Natalia, you made the same experience,
I definitely agree with this. It's why in our checklist it's the second second row that leader is involved. Leader is CEO, and top management. And when we start implementation in companies, we always start with top management team, or as Sandy said, some pilot team, but very mature team. For example, with HR department. It's also a good point. When we start with the HR department and they understand how to do this, and they already have this army of T&D specialists, and then they can roll out this in the whole company. It's also a good point. The bad experience when founder or CEO just was inspired of OKR and give all his employee the book of John Doerr and said, okay, just read this book and start to use OKR. It's the worst, one of the worst scenario.
One of the worst.
Yeah, because training is really crucial. So some education, some session with experienced OKR coach and all of these things. Yeah. So from the book, no, there are it is new book appeared. Maybe you have read Vetre Velure, who was a founder of LIEO, and then Microsoft bought this app, and now it's Microsoft Viva, and he wrote really good handbook. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool, thank you. Felix?
Yeah, so when I talked about the management and what do they actually want to get of the OKR framework, then I would say it might be one of the first exercises to say, what are your OKRs for the implementation of OKRs? So they actually know what their objective is, how they would measure the success and kind of that. And so that would be already a first exercise in the thing itself, which is working on a very limited scope. But I would say you will then operationally work with those things later on as well. At least the management has their idea. Maybe the rest of the organization has some idea in the second cycle or something as well. So how do they want to improve on that? What benefits do they see? What hopes and fears do they have in that regard? And then you can have a scope in that as well. Just as an idea.
Yeah, very crucial. Janine, does that resonate with you?
Yeah, definitely. I just want to tell you about one experience of ourselves. So we actually also started with OKR, and we thought it would be quite easy. And then we just identified that we need an expert, or we need some experts, because we were like really struggling with OKRs and also identifying and defining OKRs. So I think another point is that the implementation of OKRs needs some experts who know how it goes really good and what are struggles, and they can help us.
Yeah, that's also a good idea, because like the framework suggests that it's very easy because the framework is so lightweight, but using it in practice paints a different picture. Daniela, I saw you raised your hand and lowered your hand and raised your hand and lowered your hand.
Yes, I just had some thoughts. So if you have your first pilot OKR coaches, that they also work with OKRs first, that they start working with OKRs, so that they have the experience how it feels being on the team side. They later lead in their OKRs.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. I just want to share a thought, then I can get over to you, Felix. Is that okay? Because it's a thing that for me is so obvious, but it's always forgotten, is that management has to be clear on what problem they want to solve with OKRs, because it's a framework, it's a tool towards something, and they need to be clear on what that towards something is. So the why of OKR, basically. Do you want to add to that, Felix?
Yeah, so I would say there would be two options. First of all, also the leadership can work one cycle ahead of the teams possibly, so they would have some ideas of the benefits or challenges that they had, so they can already talk from experience. That also creates trust with the rest of the organization. And that also combines to what do they actually want to solve, what do they want to get out of it. That is an option, but you can also say we go and only develop some vision or mission and strategy first, and then start with OKRs with one or two teams. And the management is only a part of that, but not the only ones. Yeah, different options there.
Yeah, it's good. All right, 8 minutes are over. Thumbs up for 4 more minutes. Thumbs down for next topic. Down, down. Cool. All right, thanks everyone. So, Patrizia, I think this is yours, taking bold decisions as a team and letting go of results, metrics that aren't working. Is there any way that you can unmute yourself and participate in the discussion?
I tried. It's a little bit more quiet now. Can you hear me?
Sweet, yes. 8 minutes are yours.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you. So as I have shared already, first of all, yes, it's super cool to see you again after half a year, Sandy.
So cool you made it. Thanks for coming.
So I'm still, I feel like the junior in this group. I'm super impressed by everything what has been shared so far, because I come from a different angle. Because I made the experience, I'm practicing and facilitating Lego Serious Play for many years now. And as a result of Lego Serious Play sessions, there was a larger need to find a different way to tackle all the challenges that came out during a Lego Serious Play session. And this is my way into OKRs. This is why I did deep dive into OKR, and I had a couple of experiences where the team was struggling with taking a decision to let go of certain results they have said they wanted to achieve at the beginning, but then it came out, it made no sense anymore due to the learnings they had during the process, but also to let go of certain metrics. In general, just to take the bold decision, okay, we are aware now that this is not working, our assumptions were wrong, or the environment has changed, or some impact factors have changed. And just to, if you don't have someone in the team who said, okay, now we need to act accordingly to the learnings that we had, there will be no decision taken. And I assume that, as we all know, the cost of not taking decisions is much higher than taking a decision and to adjust it after a while if you have a new learning, let's say. So this is most of the challenges, because you never know when this topic comes up. Sometimes it's out of a circle, not in the as planned, and everything what is not planned is like blocking the team. That's why I came up with this topic.
Right. Is there any specific question that you want to ask us as a group, or do you just want to?
Yes, my question would be, how, when you, if you had this situation as well, how did you handle it as an external? I'm an external, yes.
Right. Okay, I think Felix, you were the first to raise your hand.
Well, I think, what is the purpose of OKR? So for me, it would usually be to say, what is the most meaningful or the best thing that we can do at the moment to get us closer towards where we want to go. And I did also have that as a situation where a team said, okay, we know what will potentially provide the most value. We just cannot measure it at the moment. But management wants to see some numbers. So should we stick to something that we can measure? And then I said, okay, if you know what is actually creating the most impact and is the most beneficial to your business, then do that thing first. Even if you cannot measure it, and try to find some kind of measurement on the way, at least. And then you have maybe a discussion with management about how you would like to handle those things in the future. But the idea really is to say, okay, if you know what creates the most value and you cannot measure it, or you made a different decision in the past, then go for it anyway. And that might be some very bold decisions at the same time. But so if you have no ideas, if you're actually then making progress, which is the idea of key results, then try to find at least some kind of proxy measure, which is going in a certain direction. Yeah, and maybe if you still don't have some idea for that, then try to at least somehow start small, so you can find a measure or something that makes sense to accelerate your learning, because that for me is the second part of OKRs, to really say, how can we learn the fastest about what makes sense or what kind of impact we are creating, and then build on that. Not sure if that answer goes towards your question. That was what you had, Patricia. But.
Yes, thank you very much, Felix. You just mentioned something very important, and intuitively I reacted like this sometimes in some situations, but you're not always as well prepared as you can be, or if you want, as you want to be, to have a plan B, to show an alternative, because this is less abstract for these people. And if they find it more reasonable, they rather go for this one. But for example, in a facilitating session, sometimes I have a lack of all informations or all impact factors, and I cannot come up as fast as expected with a plan B. Have you had this situation, Felix?
Maybe Daniela has.
So I'm an internal coach, so maybe I'm not on the same page, but I am from a different department. So I usually are a coach in engineering teams, and I'm not an engineer. So maybe I have the same problem like you. I just it depends how far in the cycle I am. At the beginning of the cycle, I just let them change their key results. So we call it like a drifting phase, where you can adapt your key results, even your objective. And if the cycle is very, very far, I just ask the team if they want to go further with this key result. And if not, if we share the learnings in our weekly. And then we just decide that we skip talking about it and talk then later in the retrospective about it, about our learnings and why this happened in the cycle.
Thank you, Daniela. Very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say what Daniela you just said. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that first 2 weeks, it's normal when team does just refining their OKRs, especially key results. And if something happen on the inside the period, we can see it on our check-ins, weekly check-ins. And if something happen, or we see that some key results is 0, 0, 0, 0, we cannot wait until the retrospective time is, but we can gather to some mid-retrospective and just explore what's happened and what we have to change.
Thank you, Natalia.
All right. I see, Felix, you have one more thing to say, but I want to give you guys the chance to vote. Thumbs up for 4 more minutes, thumbs down for next topic. Down, up, down. It's kind of a tie.
Halftime.
Okay, Patricia, how do you feel about your topic?
Thank you. Very insightful. Yes, thank you for sharing.
All right, no worries. Then I will take this as a sign to move on to the next topic. Felix, this is yours. Are there times when you would not recommend go for OKRs ever?
Yeah, so I mean, we did already briefly talk about it, but if somebody still has something where they would say that is new, that is something that we didn't discuss yet, then feel free to add in here. Also, if we don't take the 8 minutes, it's also fully okay. Then we can end early. Is there anything new we didn't talk about yet regarding this question?
Natalia.
Yeah, maybe only one thing. If the motivation of a founder, it's usually founder and the owner of the company, is to control the team through OKRs. And if he or she, usually he, wants to set up very ambitious, extremely ambitious OKRs for them, and one of the goal is to make profit for me. I met this situation, and we refuse to implement OKR for those teams. So, if we set in a spiral dynamic terms, it's a very red culture. Yeah, so I definitely not recommend to use it because it's manipulation, just manipulation.
Yeah, I think about like what have we talked about and what not. So I think there are some obvious things like Natalia said. When you are in discussion, like as an internal or external coach with the people on the other side and within the organization, especially management, if they are like, yeah, we want to be like Google, we want to like up the performance of the team, like some sort of like keywords that you can spot where more questioning is helpful. I'd also say like maybe like some organizations that are producing or have been producing things that are not like where they're not in a very dynamic market, like companies that produce and sell toilet paper, for instance. I mean, they could diversify and stuff, but I would argue that the market is not as dynamic. Just an idea, but maybe Janine has something more to add.
Maybe directly to this point, I would definitely agree. So if you're in a market that is really stable, then maybe you don't need OKRs because you can predict the future better, I would say. So you can predict, okay, what is going on in 1 year. It hasn't been changed in the past 10 years. So maybe it won't change in the next year. I mean, that could obviously, every time there could be a change in the dynamic. So that is when you have to react. But I would like to say if there's no perspective for OKR, so if you implement it within a team, but just one team of the company and you have multiple teams, and there's no perspective that other teams would like to work with OKRs or like that the whole, not the whole organization, but the teams around you won't work with OKRs. I would say that OKRs is for more than one team. So that is one suggestion of mine, that OKRs would be for more than one team in a big company. Then maybe you shouldn't implement OKRs within a team, within the organization.
For me, it's interesting because two cases. I mean, like, first of all, if you say the industry doesn't change quickly, here Natalia also already just mentioned a pizza company which is using OKR. And so I would say that industry probably doesn't change too quickly. It might be an idea where teams can learn quickly on how to iterate the product, even in a non-changing market. So then in that case, they can become faster than the competition. And then it can really become a competitive advantage. Also, I noticed that when we introduced OKRs in another company, that or at least first in the department, that the other department said, "How can you stay so stable, and what do you want to achieve?" Because with us, the manager changes goals every week, whatever the newest whim is. And so, if one team can showcase by using OKRs for themselves that thing stays relatively stable, or have a more constructive discussion with their manager or whatever. That can then actually be a showcase, and other people say, how they're using it is actually beneficial. So they convinced us to use it, even if they have not been convinced before, because the results speak for themselves. So it's interesting that I see that I actually was looking hard to find places where you would not use OKRs and other people are too skeptical of where I still use them myself. It's an interesting discussion to get started still. But Daniela, you also have something.
Yeah, we are at the moment in our company. It's like do or die. OKR. It's like yeah, our company has to decide if we do OKRs any further. And we are an agile company, so every team works agile. But so our problem is we have like a tired company. We have a lot of workload. We have a lot of customer focused teams. Only 15 of 50 teams participate on OKR, so that we don't have like the benefit of OKR. So like the alignment, we set company goals, and teams also are allowed to use their team goals. And we say yes to goals. But the teams are, so OKR seems like a lot of overload for the teams. So especially when it comes to key results, they usually don't have numbers where they can rely on, or numbers they can, sorry, I don't know the English word. They are not able to phrase the key results pretty well, and like these overload they feel makes them feel like OKR is not a good framework for them, and it is like now a bad word in the company if you talk about OKRs, and that's like it's like burned.
Right.
It's pretty hard. So we are an agile company. So usually you might think we are a good company to use OKRs, but it's kind of not working. Maybe we did something wrong by the implementation of it, but we don't know yet.
So we'll then also have the question, did you know what you want to use OKRs for? So I did introduce in a company that was kind of in the middle of a merger, and they said, we are holding all feature requests at the moment. But in the future, when the merger is done, we want to have clarity on what our priorities are. So we introduce that on top of the merger already anyway. But we know what the benefit of that thing is. And so that's why it's worth it. Even if they said, okay, we have project management for the same topics at the same time, then we notice those things are not working. If you try to measure it with two different ways at once, which one takes priority, that kind of stuff. But if you have a clear idea and focus on that, why do you want to go for that? That might be helpful. And I remember the last OKR LeanCoffee as well, where one person said, actually, ChatGPT can be very helpful in working with lead results for an industry to get some ideas of what well-formulated key results might look like. So if people have a challenge of finding good fitting ones, then maybe start with that, and that makes life easier.
A whole different topic, AI and OKRs. Well, thank you. So I'm just looking at the time. We have 3 minutes left. So I'd say we conclude with this topic. Thanks, everyone, for your focus, for participating, and even those of you who've been like first timers and just been listening. I hope that you got some good inspiration for your moving forward with OKRs. Happy to see you again in the next OKR LeanCoffee, which is on June 20.
So it's the 4th Tuesday of the month, right? So that can often be the last. This case, it happens to be the 27th. But as you could see this month, yeah, the 4th is not always enough.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your effort to organize this very valuable meeting.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you so
sweet
much.
to hear.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you, and
persistence.
thanks.
Thank you, but
And thanks for your patience at the beginning, for the other tool letting me down. But I think you found this valuable. Please feel free to share this with your colleagues and friends who think this will be valuable to them. Join the LeanCoffee group on LinkedIn, follow us for other events, and hope to see you again soon. Have a good, what's the day? Tuesday. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.